Hello and welcome to Practical Intuition with Kay. This is episode 405 of the show where we are always working to help you choose from your heart and do what feels right for you and sort of stay in your happy place of center. uh, welcome. I'm Kay. I am getting in here with I guess I would say an unanticipated episode. I got hacked last week while I was on my. I was actually like, so I was the co-host of a wonderful virtual retreat over the weekend last weekend, and then I decided to have what I was calling Kay's week of self-care. And during that wonderful sort of solo retreat week, I got like massively hacked, like into my bank account hacked. And I wanted to really share about this episode. And if you happen to be watching in YouTube, I chose as my background a painting I just finished. Like the upper half of a painting that I just finished. I'm calling it "What an Explorer," and it is I made the painting from a picture that a friend took on the Coast to Coast path while we were hiking the Coast to Coast path, and um, like what it is me looking out at this incredibly beautiful waterfall called Falling Foss, and um, I don't know, there's just something about it that I really liked. So I um, and really like I've had really interesting feedback about it too, that like it looks like the picture or a picture, an illustration in a children's book. It has like this really kind of interesting vibe to it. And I, I the feeling I had of being at that waterfall was one of really fun and exploration. And I wanted to I did want to use it as a background eventually. So I kind of figured out how to do that. And today felt like a really good day to do that. A, because I've just finished the painting, but B, because of today's subject matter. Like this was a really interesting experience. And I want to take you into it. I don't know if you've ever been hacked. I know I've got sort of like business world friends, Shane and Jocelyn Sams, who were wonderful role models because they got hacked, again, massively hacked. Like it was nuts what happened to them. And when they discovered that, they were at Disney with their two young, at the time, very young kids. And what they did not do was interrupt their vacation, um, and sort of panic and you know like lose their minds over it. Instead, they made some choices about how they were going to proceed, and then they did proceed that way. And I really thought of them a lot because I was on basically this solo retreat. I was making day trips. When the day that this happened, I was at Wachusett Mountain. I was hiking Wachusett Mountain and making friends with lift operators and just and doing some really interesting paintings and connecting with people and dogs and yeah, like having just a ball. And I didn't check email for um it was I think 2 days that I just stayed out of my inbox entirely. And when I got back into it, what I discovered was that over since about 3 a.m. that morning, someone had been like sort of systematically using this is first pro hacker pro fraud prevention FBI feeling super cop fraud prevention tip is if you have old emails, like we all have these sort of old email addresses, right? If you've got those, and you have a way to either close them or at least kind of identify them and stuff like that, that might not be a bad idea because that's how they got into my account. They used an old email account. I have no idea where they got that information. Like I absolutely no idea. That's one of the interesting things about this experience is like how it started. So so starting at about 3 o'clock in the morning, the Eastern time, they just sort of took a series of steps that allowed them eventually to kind of take over my Facebook account. And like, so I'm sort of finding out about this. I've done this big hike. I'm waiting for a bath. Like, I'm waiting for the bathroom to be free so I can take a bath. I'm like in real, like, sort of chillaxing, heading for sleep mode. And I don't, there was some reason why I got into my inbox. I don't remember what it was. My mail, like my email inbox. I don't remember what it was, but I get in there and I'm seeing all of these messages from Facebook about, like, you just changed your password and you just changed this email and you just changed that email and you just eliminated this and you just did that, with all these things that basically said, like, if this wasn't you, press here. If this wasn't you, press here. And so now I'm like sort of frantically pressing, this was not me, this was not me. And I was on a mobile device, so it didn't do a good, well, my experience of it wasn't that I could do anything, because it was like these sort of circular um, Facebook sort of being like, we can help you get back into your account. Put your name here. We can help you get back into your account. Put your password here. Put your email here. And like none of those things where I could see that it was me. My name worked, but I did the email that I had didn't work. No passwords worked. Like, it was all that all felt like it had been completely taken away from me. And so now it's about, I don't know, 8:30 maybe at night, and I am absolutely panicking. And I go to bed, and what I was actually thinking about was how much I enjoy and appreciate Facebook these days, because it helps me stay in touch with family and share, my adventures and talk to people about their adventures, and like basically be making friends and be, happy out in the world. And I do think of Facebook as kind of a part of my, like, fun friends and family situation. And so I was like, oh my God, like, if I don't have access to my Facebook account anymore, I've lost all that. There are people, I have no idea how else to get in touch with them, like really beloved people, you know what I mean? That I just happen to have either reconnected with, or become friends with in Facebook. And so I was experiencing this kind of circular, like, we can help you get in, try your password, try your email, and none of that was working. So I went to the 26 time winner of the Husband of the Year award, Benjamin Culp, um, who's like working, and at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, he's starting to get ready for bed, just like me. And he was incredibly patient and incredibly supportive. And in fact, there was a moment not too far into this where I kept, like, you know, making like noises of panic and tearing up. And I was definitely not in my usual place of calm. And he said at one point, I can't help you if you're panicking. And he said it in a way I could sense his frustration, because, like, you know, this was frustrating for him too. But it was also said in a way that was gentle enough that I could hear it and remember, oh yeah, like, I don't have to panic about this. Like, I'm not disempowered here. And even if I remember having the thought, even if my Facebook account has been hacked, and even if I end up can't, being able to get it back, like, I'm going to be okay. And um, like, that was a really interesting kind of shift. I went from really panicking to feeling the support from my partner to, did I say that it was Ben? That it's the 26th time winner of the Husband of the Year award is Ben, the producer of our show, and or this show. And um yeah, so he's also like, this he's really calm and very good at keeping his head in situations like this. And what I learned is that so am I. I sort of had reverted for a few minutes to a version of me that was scared and feeling uncertain, disoriented. But with his statement, I can't help you if you're panicking, that really brought me back. And so I took a deep breath, and very soon after that, we realized that we'd been trying on a mobile device, and that wasn't working. And Ben had the suggestion, what if you try on your PC? So that was where things really started to kind of move ahead. And like, I won't describe in detail the process over the next couple days, but it did take like today was the like 3, 4 days before I felt like it is securely back in my purview completely. For several days, there was me and the thieves in my Facebook account, which was so wild. And at that point, like, so once Ben said that, we became like these intrepid explorers, which again is like this, that's what this painting makes me think of. And um, as intrepid explorers, as like sort of fraud police, it was a lot more fun. We were now partners in like figuring this out. And um, so that first night, we like Facebook gives you several options of like you can you can upload your driver's license or some other like your passport or your marriage certificate. I mean, there are a whole bunch of options that you have to prove that this is you, that this is your Facebook account. And I was able to upload one of those, and that was really helpful. And then because now it knew that it was me, it knew that on this PC, this was me. And um, it was like then over the coming days, the kind of work was both forensic to figure out what was this other person, what had they done and what were they doing. And it was like kind of crafting a new approach to being not just in Facebook, but online. In fact, a loved one of mine said something like, and that's why I don't have a Facebook account. And then we kind of continued talking, and were realizing, just like me, the truth is, it isn't just Facebook. I mean, like modern life today, it means that if you're using the internet, there are some really basic practices that I was practicing in a lot of places, and now I'm practicing in more places, and I'm, basically getting to all the places because there are some really, I mean, not, I guess, there are some really simple tools that we can use to protect ourselves. And they didn't feel simple to me before. I think I felt a little bit like, suspicious or confused or whatever. And I want to pause here and just say how much gratitude I have for Facebook, to be perfectly honest, and the Meta Corporation, because they were amazing in this. Um, they've got they've actually got really great, this was my experience. Not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's absolutely fine. Um, they had some really great, useful tools to help in this. So once I had established, like with my identity, with the methodology that I was describing before about like you upload a piece of information that verifies it's really you, that the thieves don't have. Um, then like I was taken through this sort of series of questions like, did you friend these people? Did you make these posts? Did you, in fact, what they did in my account was they were making fake ads. They were well, it wasn't actually fake ads. They were using my account. They had just started using my account to put ads in Instagram that like were anathema to me, things I would never ever want to have advertised from me at all. And that's what made me think of Shane and Jocelyn, especially because that was part of their hack that they shared about a couple of years ago, had to do with like they were noticing their computers being used for things that they didn't want them to be used for. Um, and once I discovered like what was so interesting being in there with these thieves, because I could see like Facebook would give messages that would say things like, we are looking into your payment options, or we are looking into your verifications. We are looking into this for you. Like, thank you for reaching out. We're looking into this for you. And I'm like, I didn't reach out to Facebook. So I could see those messages, and I could see what the thieves had written like to Facebook. And eventually I was able to get in touch with Facebook in a way, or Meta at this point, in a way that I was able to say, this is not me. I do not want this. I am deactivating my ads account. I am deactivating my, I mean, like all of these sort of business tools that are put in place that I like had either never used or hadn't used for years. It was so interesting to kind of go through that process. And at that point, I was really looking at it with interest and curiosity instead of, which led to empowerment instead of me feeling like a victim. And so truly, Ben was able to not need to be a part of it after the first night. Like I would go to him over the next couple of days and say like, what about this idea? What do you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts on this? And you know, he's great with things like internet security. So it was really interesting from that perspective too. And so I really want to, I guess there's a couple of, I don't know, lessons I think that I wanted to share today. And the first one is, you know, it's probably not an if, eventually, you know, if or when you get hacked. Yeah, taking that breath, hearing my voice, right? Saying like, um, you don't have to panic. Like it's okay. It's really okay. And in fact, I remember at one point going outside, that first night I went outside and I just stood outside and listened to the crickets for a while. And I was like, the crickets have no idea that my Facebook account has been hacked. Like they don't care. It's really okay. You know what I mean? Um, we we/I were able to, when I wasn't panicking, when I was feeling empowered, I was much more able to like handle the situation. And I mean, it felt like an interesting shift because the idea that I could choose my experience, I had to remember that. Like that is how I live these days. Is I understand that my reactions to others' behavior is 100% up to me. And with that understanding, that means I get to have the feelings that I want to have. I get to let the other ones go right by me. And I get to choose the experience that I have. And it was a lot more fun being a fraud investigator, putting on that hat, you know, and sort of I could see a lot of really interesting things too. So that was one lesson I really wanted to take from this. The second one was there are some really simple tools that we can use, and I wasn't using them in a couple of places, and Facebook was one of them. And the one I'm thinking of in particular is two-factor authentication. When a website or an app invites you to have two-factor authentication, um, well, I'm taking it, and I would invite you, if you haven't kind of taken those steps yet, to think about doing them because what that means, well, the way that you can either set it up to go to a second email, like it means that there's some other property that belongs to you that the website or the app will send a message to or a code to or something. I chose two-factor authentication to my phone because I always have my phone. My phone is with me. And if had I done that, had I set up two-factor authentication in Facebook, as I say, I had it in other places. I don't know why I didn't have it in Facebook, but I didn't. I sure do now. If I'd known that, if that had been in place before I even went hiking on Tuesday morning, this would have all been taken care of because uh, the code that would have been sent for the thieves to get in wouldn't have been able to receive it, right? Because it would be on my phone, or in my email or wherever I choose to. Like you can always choose, right? And yeah, so setting up two-factor authentication, it's not just good for Facebook, it's good for whatever email you use, it's good for that way anyone trying to do anything that isn't you, you'll know about. Um, and there's lots of choices and ways to do that. And certainly Facebook talked you through that really easily. And so that was one really useful tool. And you know, this may not sound like a tool, this last one that I'm going to share, is it's going to sound really weird and pretty woo woo, but that, this is what's working for me, was loving kindness. So there's a wonderful loving kindness meditation, which involves, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to drop the link in here to my favorite loving kindness meditation. It is by Catherine Nicolai. She's got this wonderful podcast called First This. And this particular meditation is it's they're all 10 minutes. Like it's a 10-minute, what she says is it's a 10-minute mindfulness and meditation podcast. And she's got quite a few episodes now, that have been incredibly helpful for me, and lots of others. It's a really wonderful podcast. And at least a year ago, she shared, the loving kindness meditation, the way that she does it, and it's actually been really helpful over this last 6 or 8 months, because I discovered, so I got a hamstring injury while I was in Colorado skiing in March. It was less than 2 months before I was due to walk across England. I was really upset and freaked out and panicking about my hamstring. And one of the many tools that I employed, was to practice loving kindness meditation on my hamstring and on myself. And I remember listening to that episode while I was fine to do it on my hamstring. Like, okay, may my hamstring be happy. May my hamstring know real peace and harmony. May my hamstring feel safe. May my hamstring come out of its suffering, right? Fine. Other people, fine. Like I'm really good. I have become really good about practicing loving kindness on others, on body parts, like on things that are hurting. When I do that, I've stopped headaches. I've made muscles feel better. This was an essential, integral part of my 3 week, 190-mile trek across the north of England. And in March, when I was invited to practice loving kindness on myself, so there are several layers to the loving kindness meditation. There's like a sort of general for the world. There's for people, that the way that Catherine Nicolai does it is you kind of open up the well of loving kindness by focusing that loving kindness on someone that you have an uncomplicated love for. And because she says you need to remember how loving feels. And I really just love that. You do it on someone that you really love. You practice it on someone who's sort of a little bit further out of your like immediate purview. And you practice it on someone that you have felt the opposite way before. Like, so in other words, someone that you maybe used to not wish well, you are practicing loving kindness on. That's Catherine's invitation. And I mean, I used to not wish myself well all the time. So in March, the first time I practiced loving kindness on myself, like on me, my being, it took me like 20 minutes to do, because I would just stop and cry. In fact, I was doing it as a moving meditation. So I was stretching. I was really trying to be in my comfort zone of like being kind to myself and saying the words like, may I be happy. May I know real peace and harmony. May I feel safe. Those were things that were really hard for me to say and wish for myself. I remember feeling completely changed after I did that in March. And I mean, I do that routinely. Like it's still a wonderful practice. I would say I do loving kindness practice every single day, with a variety of people and animals and the universe and, and body parts and myself. Like, and I'm bringing it up now because it was an essential tool, I think, in keeping my this week of retreat, like this week of, that was my week of self-care, in a positive place. And so I wished loving kindness on myself. I certainly wished it on my partner for all of his help. I actually did it for Facebook because like they were amazing. I never knew that, having never had gone through this before, I didn't realize how how they set things up and what they do. And I was really very pleasantly surprised by by that. So, wishing the people at Facebook loving kindness, and for me, this time around, the challenge of wishing loving kindness on the hackers, on the people who had perpetrated this whatever fraud and tried to break into my bank account, which they succeeded in. They got pretty close. I mean, they were at one point they were in it. We managed to stop that. And like to wish loving kindness on them. I think it, well, I'm trying to decide, was it challenging? Like, I remember doing it. I think what's actually happening for me is the feeling of sharing it is feeling really challenging. It was not a problem to do it. I really sincerely from my heart wished them well and wished them happy. And the reasoning for that is because when when people who hurt others begin to feel good within themselves, they discover that they have a really hard time hurting others. It sort of stops a bad pattern when someone feels good within themselves. And Catherine Nicolai points out that even if they never know or care, right, it's still worth doing because when we wish others ill, it it it's happening in our body and our mind and it's really bad for us to do that. It's like is not good practice. And when we wish others that we had previously wished ill, when we wish them well, that is medicine for us. It's good medicine for us. So and at the same time, it's interesting because I'm noticing in this moment it feels scary to share it out. Like my fear is that you are going to be listening and you're going to think, what a nut. And I'm sort of recognizing that that's a part of my brain that you know wants to please, I think. And I'm saying it anyway because that's not the part of my brain that has permission to tell me what to do. And it is absolutely fine if you're listening or watching and you're like, this woman is crazy. I don't mind. You can think about me however you want. And at the same time, I mean, for me, practicing loving kindness on myself, on my loved ones, on people that I know a little bit less well, on the world, and on people who I previously would have wished ill. I know that is a way of wellness for me. And, I think it puts good feelings into the world. So that's, that's one of the tools that I used to stay centered and happy while this was going on. And I had one of the best weeks that I've ever had. I mean, I had such a good, I took day trips. I'm writing a book right now. The publication date is May the 1st. I'll share more about it in a future episode. So much happened this week that was so good. I had a couple relatives visiting, so I got to spend time. Like my brother and my sister-in-law were here, and I got to spend lots of good time with them. And I'm thriving, right? Even while this is happening. And it was so interesting to sort of observe. A past me wouldn't have been able to do that. And I think there's some growth here that's represented, as well. So so that's today's episode. If I can sum it up, I think I would sum it up with 3 invitations to not get hacked. Oh, well, or what happens when you do, right? So the first one is prevention. The first one is actually feeling empowered, choosing that feeling state. Like, you're amazing and you can figure it out. Like, I know that. I just know that for you. It feels a lot better to say that too. And it, you're amazing and you can figure it out. Step 1, know this. Step 2, if you haven't already, I would invite you to start investigating where are you online, because again, these were like dormant, these were sort of dormant things that I hadn't used in a really, really long time. That's how they were able to get in. So where have you left dormant things that are recorded somewhere that someone could use to try and get into any account of yours online, like, and once you have started either shutting them down or if you choose to keep them open, definitely choose some sort of like two-factor authentication so that you can feel safe. That's a way of prevention. That, and I think strong passwords or some sort of password protection. Um, the other thing is that all my passwords are completely different from one another. So like, uh, there was no way that this password could be used for any other accounts of mine, which I think was, really smart. I started doing that, I think 4 or 5 years ago, actually, probably when Shane and Jocelyn got hacked, because I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. I will think about that. So that's now, I think, probably 7 or 8 years ago. And it feels like the dawn of the internet at this point. I know it wasn't, but yeah, so a couple of simple tools. I'm sure you can think of other very simple tools that would work for you. These are the ones that work for me. Changing passwords, enabling two-factor authentication, eliminating accounts that you no longer use, accounts on websites or wherever. And finally, I know this sounds crazy. Well, it might sound a little woo-woo. Practice loving kindness on um, yourself. And imagine me sitting with you if that's hard, like, because it was really hard for me at first. And now I do love myself genuinely and unconditionally. And this was part of the root there. Um, so practicing loving kindness on yourself, and the invitation is also to practice it on, people that you might have felt differently about before. Um, because that's eliminating like badness and bringing good medicine into your world and into yourself. That's how it's been for me. So yeah, those are my invitations for today. I will be back in a couple of weeks I'm so excited. Got some really great interviews lined up for you. And I will be back with the first one of those in a couple weeks. And next week, I'm recording this on a Saturday. And so this coming Tuesday and Wednesday, October 24th and 25th, I am having another conversation about what I learned about myself while walking across Northern England. And this one is all about food and how food used to be my enemy, and now I'm friends with food. And if you would like to be a part of that conversation, I'm just Zoom conversations. I thought be the sharing my learning about how this happened, because it was a journey to become friends with food, to become friends with my body, to become friends with like, I don't feel like I have weight challenges anymore, or like I'm perfectly happy with the weight that I am. I don't even think about that anymore. And that was a real journey for me. So if you want to hear about that, be a part of that conversation, you can. There's limited space. I did choose to make it. I like to have the Zoom conversations that I'm in be only as many uh folks who could be at Zoom at one time, like on a screen at one time. So I think it's like 12 or 24, something like that, people. So but as I'm recording this, there's plenty of room. So come on in. And I thought of food at this time of year because we're going into a time of year that used to be really hard for me. It is mid-October. Halloween is coming up. Thanksgiving is after that in the United States. In Canada, there's just been Thanksgiving. I don't know if y'all have the same, sort of hang-ups about Thanksgiving in Canada. But anyway, and then we have like the end of the year holidays and opportunities for indulgence and high emotion, which I think is also a part of this, like a lot of times I used to feel completely hijacked by my emotions into eating and doing stuff that didn't feel good for my body, but that I would feel like I couldn't not do. Like I was feeling compelled by, just emotion. And yeah, if you're feeling like that, or if you have a similar experience to me where you've figured it out, either way, I mean, right? Like wherever you are on your food journey, I would really love to invite you to participate in this conversation with me. And by participate, what I mean is simply be there. You can have your camera off, you can never say a word, and we will be welcoming you and enjoying your, not the knowledge that you're in that room with us. A Zoom space or an opening is, to me, it's a wonderful room that we get to be in together. And yeah, come along and be part of that. So I'm going to put the link in the show notes, but I will say it out loud. It is bit.ly/K is friends with food. And that is just the letter K. bit.ly/K is friends with food, spelled just like it sounds, no caps, all lowercase. You can register, and I'll see you either at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, the 24th of October, or 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, the 25th. Yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. It really, really, really means a lot that you're here with me. Having friends on this journey means the world. And if you're listening, you're one of those wonderful people who's my friend. So I'm really glad to be in this beautiful world with you. Glad you're here too. Hoping that this has been helpful, inspiring, and yeah, lots of love to you. We'll talk soon. I'll see you in a couple weeks, or I'll see you out in the world. Bye.